Tired of the hype about living the dream? It's time for truth. This is the place for tools, power, and real talk so you can create the life you dream and deserve. Your ultimate life. Subscribe, share, create. You have infinite power.
Hello and welcome to Your Ultimate Life, the podcast I created to help you create a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy by using your skills, your gifts, and your life experience to add good to the world and make a difference. This is one of the special Thursday episodes. You'll know that because I've got two guests, and the other episodes either have one guest or are solos. We started this one in September of 25, a few months ago, to talk about coaching and the effect that AI either will or won't have on coaching, and to explore how different people are using it. And one of the interesting things that I've noticed is in the 6 months or so we've been doing this, the conversations have completely evolved because of how fast things are happening. So I've got a couple of high-end, high-powered coaches with me today. Jim, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kellan.
Sally, welcome to the show.
All the way from Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Yeah, from where, New Zealand?
New Zealand.
Where? And what was the name of that place?
Aotearoa, which is the Māori pronunciation of New Zealand.
Oh, Aotearoa. I didn't know that was how you say New Zealand. Thank you for teaching me that. Cool. Well, good. So to give a little context to this, I've always picked people that coach or coaches, consultants, that kind of thing. And you each get 30 or 45 seconds to tell the audience like what you do. And it's not supposed to be long, but it's supposed to be really framed about what outcomes do you create in the world. Jim, you're on my upper left-hand corner, so let me start with you.
All right. Well, you've picked two coaches that are in the future. So in terms of talking about AI and the impact, we've got the nose on it, mate. Especially Sally. She's even further in the future than I am. The sun still comes up tomorrow for you. There's the good news, mate. What do? I help senior executive leaders, people who either own their own organizations or work high up in larger government departments and organizations, and help them awaken and align really to themselves, to the impact that they have specifically now in the present moment. We're currently at the start of 2026, but looking forward. So we are talking a lot about emerging intelligences, how that's going to play out in the organization, but also how do we create organizations that are places where people want to stay. They don't want to leave. They want to be there, which means they're engaged and they're leaning into their work.
Cool. Sally, so give me your 45 seconds about the outcomes you create in the world.
So I've been 37 years in leadership, 25 years in private practice. I've created my own leadership curriculum called Co-Creative Leadership, Quantumous Leadership. Who you are in your human form is limited. Who you are in your co-creative form is limitless. So we've got some new world problems on our doorstep and some coming, and being able to evolve our consciousness at the highest level. We've got a lot of little boys, little girls running businesses, economies, and countries. And if you're going to invest money into change, just make sure it's sustainable. So I have a key focus around the ability to, if you're going to invest money, because a lot of organizations to this day spend a lot of money on coaches, on consultants, on off-the-shelf training initiatives, off-the-shelf cultural change initiatives, very questionable ROI back into the business. I also rate myself as one of the best trauma coaches around. I'll go to places other practitioners won't go to get results other practitioners won't get. And Houston, we have a problem because of the mental health at the most senior level in the CEO community, political sector, elite sporting athletes, celebrities, military vets, and even in the millionaire, billionaire sector. They might have the money, but they've got estrangement from their families, estrangement from, their happiness. I believe the biggest addiction on the planet is dissatisfaction. So I've had the privilege to be able to partner those at the highest level.
Cool. Yeah, one of the things that I get asked to talk a lot about on shows, radio, stuff like that is an addiction to mediocrity that we live into. So let's just start with a couple of general questions. And like I said, it's not going to be really structured, but we'll start a little bit. So first of all, Jim, tell me how you use AI right now? What are you doing with it? What does it do for you? Just how is it integrated into your work if it is. I asked that one person, and they said, well, I don't really use it very much. I said, okay, cool. Tell me why not. So tell me what you do or don't do and why.
I do use it on a daily basis. I haven't taken the step that people around me are taking, which is to link together different agents through a Claude bot or an open claw, and have it actually running my computer and integrating all of my systems autonomously. I'm not taking that step just yet, but I use a various different number of AIs on a daily basis to do things like, for example, if someone said to me, Jem, can you come and do a keynote for this group tomorrow afternoon? I would go, first of all, straight to my personalized chat, which is the paid version, and I've been working with it for about 1.5 years now, so it knows me very, very well. I uploaded all of my behavioral profiles, all of my systems, and we've created a lot of stuff together, so it understands what I care about, how I speak, the language I use. It knows my IP, stuff like that. So I can go to my chat and say, hey, I've got a keynote tomorrow afternoon. This is the topic. This is what I want to put together. Can you make a prompt for Gamma? So Gamma is a different AI. Can you make a prompt for Gamma for a 10-card slide deck? And it'll put the prompt together for me in 30 seconds. I copy and paste that, go across to Gamma, which is a different AI, which creates presentations and websites and all sorts. And I'll just go into Gamma and paste that into Gamma. It knows my theme, it knows my brand, my colors, the way I speak, everything. And within another 60 seconds, I'll have a killer 10-card slide deck for my keynote the next day.
Cool. Well, that's wonderful. Sally, I want you to tell me the same thing. What are you using it for or not, and why?
So the main one that I use is Claude, and the three main areas that I specialize in with reference to the utilization of it would be to challenge my thinking. So I exhaust and debate with Claude. So I might have a particular thought structure, and I will engage with it on a regular basis, probably on a daily basis, to get a broader spectrum. 2 is research. Can you go and scan and research the world, so that I've got some statistics for the linear listener, and I generate a lot of content, and I write books and regular LinkedIn articles. I'm mainly on LinkedIn, and I channel a lot of content. And so within the content side of things, I might have a topic, and I'll write the article, and then I'll ask Claude to enhance it and take it to another level. So challenging my thinking, research, and also enhancing my thought leadership.
So either one of you, we don't have to go in order. So what do you see? And if you do, what are they? What do you see are in the context of coaching now? What do you see? What do you think is going to happen with respect to coaching? Because both of you have said it's really good at enhancing content. It knows me really well. It can write in my voice, all the stuff you just said, and it can challenge my thinking. And so how do you think this will or won't affect the coaching industry? And I don't care who starts.
It definitely will. I mean, it's already having an impact on coaching and psychology. I've been really fascinated about this because I work as a coach. So I've been really curious around how good is it at those kind of conversations or giving advice. And it's great. It's incredible. You can go in there, and I can go into the chat and say, hey, can you pretend to be a psychologist, please? Put the psychologist hat on and let's have a conversation. And we'll have a conversation. And it gives very intelligent, psychologically formed, conversation, which is interesting. And it's only improving in that capacity. And I think what we'll touch on, because I know you and I have spoken about this, Kellan, as well, and I think Sally, even you and I have touched on this as well. What it can't do is what I'm interested in. So I've been really asking myself and asking the AIs as well, what can't you do in terms of the service that humans provide as psychologists or counselors or coaches or anyone that's sitting there in that form of service? What can't you do? And that's what we'll get to in a conversation. But it's already people are going to their AI for psychological advice. I'm not saying it gives the best advice. I'm not saying you should always listen to it. But it's certainly getting better and better at it. And the point to make is that it's improving exponentially. And the human brain is not wired to comprehend exponential growth. We just cannot comprehend the doubling of ability. And that's what's happening with AI. So what it looks like in 2 years from now is beyond our comprehension.
Sally, what do you think about that? What do you see?
I think AI is forcing the coaching industry into the dark night of the soul. I don't view it as a threat. I view it as an invitation to true transcendence, because AI can simulate expertise, but it can't channel source. So given where I specialize, which is in the evolving leadership consciousness, I pretty much live in the 5D, in the unlimited realm. And I believe that it's forcing the coaching industry to have that death of the ego and actually evolve in their consciousness to be able to operate more as a conduit than an information transfer level coach. So I see it as a good thing, because obviously as AI evolves, we as coaches need to evolve. And to me, we are limited within the 1 to 3D dimensional humanistic realm. And to see the coaching industry evolve into the co-creative 5D realm is exciting.
I love that. And I love that characterization, because one of the things I say in the book, I predicted when I started this in May or June of last year, was that by Christmas of this year, 26, which was then 17, 18 months out, 95% of coaches wouldn't be able to make a living in coaching as it was constituted. And I defined making a living arbitrarily at $100K US dollars, whatever. If you make a lot less than that, you either better have another job or a partner or something. So, and the reason is because it's going to gut all this stuff that passes as coaching that really is information or frameworks and tools. All that stuff is going to be faster and better by AI. And in the book, I analyzed 11 different coaching models, not that that's all of them, but just a bunch of them, and asked 2 questions. How good are they at providing the results that they promise? And 2, how vulnerable are they to AI? Because I noticed in the 6 months of research and writing and editing of that book, I saw the capacity of AI double and then double again just in that 6 months in terms of its ability to be on point, right, do better stuff, less hallucination, less nonsense, that kind of stuff. And so finally I got so frustrated. I wasn't frustrated, but I'm like, okay, you can do all this. I finally said, okay, what do you suck at? What are you going to be terrible at? What are you going to completely bomb at, fall on your face? And you can't do the kinds of things that you guys have alluded to. And the answer was really interesting. It gave me a bunch of things that were clearly the realm of source and human and connection and energetics and all that stuff, but it summarized it in one line and it said, I can't bleed. And, when I saw that, it was like, okay, now we've said something, right? And so, the truth of human connection. So if that's really this evolution, Sally, that you talked about, and a coach's willingness to be there, what is left? Because lots of what goes past for coaching the last 10 or 15 years has been this sort of very superficial stuff, and that's all going to evaporate faster than the dew in Phoenix. I used to live in Phoenix, and yes, you can fry an egg on the sidewalk in the summer. But anyway, so what's left? What's left for coaches that really want to inhabit the 5% or whatever's left of people that actually matter?
I personally reckon you better get really, really good at human-to-human relationship. And before we even talk about, and I know Sally is great at talking about the 5D, and I also believe that's where we're going. But before we even go there, for coaches who don't even want to entertain 5D, let's just stay in 3D for a second and talk about human-to-human relationships and how intricate they are and how important they are. So I'm just talking about the ability to breathe in time with your client. I'm talking about the ability to let the silence do the heavy lifting, but in that you are completely present with that person when they don't know what to say, and you don't jump in to fill the gap. I'm talking about when you're in the same room with them, the pheromones that are moving through the air and landing on each other's skin, the shared biological space and experience that we create. And if a coach's ability is to guide or facilitate the transformation from A to B for somebody, we do that best in deep rapport. And to get into deep rapport can be a biological, energetic, but where I mean scientifically energetic, coming together. It's a relationship. And when you are in deep rapport with someone, your words become their thoughts. So you can be in conversation with them and suggest something and they think they thought it. And when someone thinks they came up with it and thought it, they're way more likely to adopt it and be it and move with it. And that's a deep rapport state. You can take someone from being anxious to being calm without words, just through energy and breath and movement and mirroring and matching and all of this beautiful stuff that happens organically in relationships. So if you've never spent time as a coach developing those abilities, I suggest you start. And then there's going to be, the next level, which is the 5D stuff, Sally, that you're, interested in.
Sally, what do you think about that?
I think we're living in unprecedented times, especially post-COVID. There's just so much fear on the planet. This isn't the first time that we've had some revolutionary change in the world. And most human beings get off the court when they are confronted, resistant, or uncomfortable. I've just released a book called Beyond Brave, The Art of Living Courageously. And I talk about the 3 cornerstones of true transcendence being: go to everything you're confronted by, everything you're resistant of, everything that makes you uncomfortable. And that's truly where the edge lies. Because to evolve in your consciousness at a human level, one needs to do the healing. I'd love to see healing in every single executive boardroom in the world, because every dynamic, within leadership is a function of what has been unaddressed. From a childhood standpoint. I often get asked from CEOs, why, when I've come to see you about my business, Sally, are you talking to me about my childhood? I go, mate, I didn't design it. Everything comes from childhood. And 9 times out of 10, most leaders don't realize until they come up against that which they're confronted by, resistant of, or uncomfortable with. And especially now, most leaders are used to being in control and they don't know how to navigate the terrain of uncertainty. And we are in uncertain times more than we have ever been. So in the context of coaches, they need to do the work. They need to do the heavy lifting with reference to seeking out those right practitioners at the healing level to be able to evolve in their consciousness, because we can't solve 5D problems, those that are coming from a 3D mentality.
So I really like 3 things: that you're resistant of, that you're triggered or confronted by, or the third one was
uncomfortable with.
And so I agree with you 100%. And the question that brought up for me writing this, and also for you guys, is as you look at people who, I saw a Facebook ad just a few weeks ago, some dude sitting in a chair on a beach with a laptop, and the ad was, learn to be a life coach, make a difference, make a good living. And I was laughing again. I'm thinking, okay, here we go again. And it's still there. Like, this was like a month ago. Or 3 weeks ago, there it is. And I thought, this is just nonsense, because what you're uncomfortable by, confronted by, or you can't deal with, whatever. I said I'm wrong, but exactly. And my question is, people are afraid of that. That's why they're confronted and uncomfortable and so forth. And so what do coaches who want to stay in the game need to do to matter?
Do you want to go first, Jim, or you want me to go?
You go, Sal.
I've done 42 years of healing. Some people may look at that and going, what the hell's wrong with you? I have had a interesting soul contract. I've experienced a lot of adversity in my life. So I didn't choose to go and do the healing. I've probably tried every modality globally. Because to sustain anything as an individual, coaching in isolation is not sustainable. Healing in isolation is not sustainable. 2 together, bloody formidable. And to me, I see a lot of coaches who are inauthentic with reference to them advocating one thing and them not actually walking the talk. And that's where faith comes in. I've coached everybody from every religious sect, spiritual sect, atheist sect. I'm not attached to what you call it. I'm personally not religious. I am spiritual. Spirituality for me is about trusting the unknown dimension as much as the known. So I do believe coaches need to evolve in their faith, whatever that is for them, because fear is but a barometer of your disconnection from your faith. To be a fearless practitioner is what's possible when you walk your faith and you walk your values. And most of us in the coaching profession, all we do every day is facilitate conversations to have our clients become in alignment, because all of human suffering is a function of what we make things mean, and all of human conflict is a function of being out of alignment. So coaches need to be in alignment. Coaches need to walk their talk. Coaches need to understand the journey of being able to be an example of what's possible, not be hypocritical. I mean, the amount of times I've coached coaches and called them hypocrites, it's not funny because it's out, So fearless practicing, evolving in your consciousness from a faith-based perspective, whatever that is for you, and being able to be open about that with your clients. I see a lot of people who are, they may say that they're faith-based, but they don't talk about it, which to me is completely out. I also am open kimono in my coaching style. In counseling and psychotherapy, you're not allowed to share anything of a personal nature. I'm the complete opposite. If I'm going to ask you to be vulnerable with me, I better bring everything from my arsenal and actually go on the journey with you rather than sit here in a hierarchical form dictating to you. I just think that's out personally. So you got to do the work, whether the coaches are willing to do the work or not, you won't go the distance. Because I don't have any competition. I believe in co-opetition, not competition, because I'm just a conduit for the divine, the unknown. It's not really about Sally Anderson. I mean, I've been off the public domain for 7.5 years. This is my first foray back into the public eye. And Sally Anderson doing that, man, that's too confronting, resistant, uncomfortable. But Sally Anderson as a spiritual being a conduit, that's what's going back out into the marketplace. Yeah. I don't have to look at myself from a humanistic standpoint because I leverage my co-creative ability and I'm unconsciously competent in that space.
Cool. Jim, what do you think?
Yeah, look, underlining and highlighting, the sentiment from Sally as well. You got to do the work, and I think authenticity is going to become even more prevalent. So in the past, there's been this industry. And it makes me, I kind of shake my head at it as well, Kellan, the whole coaching industry that came about, which was you can be a 7-figure coach and I can show you how. And it's basically buy my course and I'll teach you how to create a course to get other people to buy your course to become a 7-figure coach. And there's this $1 billion industry of people just selling courses on how to be 7-figure coaches. And, it was... I would shake my head at it, even to the point where, as a coach here in Australia, when I started out on my own 15 years ago, and Australia didn't even really know what a coach was back in those days, other than a sports coach. A coach was, a football coach or a tennis coach or something like that. But very quickly, the whole term in the industry was given such a bad name because it was this shallow industry of how to make money. But anyway, so I think now that that will run its own course, and especially with AI coming in and AI being able to do that. I mean, AI will just create courses and sell courses to other people who are in that world, but it's just becoming more shallow. So I think that it is authenticity is going to be key, and that points back to what Sally said about do the work. If you're a coach and you're not doing the work, if you're not waking up and being the practices that you're espousing to others, people will know. And the universe energetically will know, you're not going to get the work. And look, I don't know. I mean, from the coaching institute that I studied at 15 years ago, I would say 97% of the people who study there can't make a living as a full-time coach because it's not easy, and of the 3% that have found a way to make a living as a coach, maybe 95% of them won't survive into the future. I don't know, but the ones that do will be the ones that are doing the work on themselves and are authentic and aligned for sure.
Wow. So you guys are just quoting from passages in the books, my book, and maybe your own books too, because the way I ended up framing it, and you've done it just as well or better. And that is, if you are not the product of the product, if without even speaking the energetics, if you don't leak and bleed what you teach, you're out. And you have to be that. And I framed it as this way. I thought there are three impediments. One is the head in the sand problem, the group that pretend it's not happening and they're going to be drowned before they know what it is. I asked somebody about that one day, and they said, I'm not worried at all. AI will never replicate human, and I got all that handled. And just from the nature of the answer, I thought, okay, you're out of business about next week, And the second one is what I call the anti-problem. And that is, imagine a big casino, and there's all these blackjack tables, right? And you walk in there, and all the $10 tables are full of robots. And the only place you can sit down is in the high roller room, and the ante now is $10,000. And the numbers don't matter, but the ante to get in this business has just gone up exponentially. And the third one is, Sally, what you described in detail, which is, this is a mountain without a top. If we are not willing to be the product of the product and be that thing, you can't coach where you haven't been. And I'm not talking about a specific skill, because then we're talking about that thing over there, something I know how to do and not who I am. And so those are the three barriers that I outlined in the book that you guys have all just described really well. So that it's the first time I've had a group on here that is in such complete alignment to the point that you've described it exactly as I saw it. Oh, how did that happen? So here's another question I have about it. I'm going to change directions for a sec. What do you think, if any, are the pitfalls or problems or potential problems? No, we're not talking about Skynet and the singularity, just in the context of coaching and consulting with AI.
I think it's easy. It's going to be easy for people to be enamored and allured and, so intrigued by the abilities of AIs, to be kind of sucked into it a little bit and to get swept up and think that it's actually something that it's not. AI is only fed from what has been made available online, and also that's been trained on right from the start, has been curated, as well. And also one person's private AI can be, one person's private chat GPT can be completely different to another person's chat GPT because of what it's been learning from that person and their interactions. And people are getting sucked into it and allured into it because it's seemingly so intelligent. And I think that's dangerous, because coaches as well, and psychologists as well, and counselors and people who work with humans and their mental health can be easily waylaid, easily hoodwinked. We say, I don't know if you say that over in Canada, but, easily kind of led down a path because of how intelligent, quote unquote, the language models are. But the language models are only mirroring us and spitting out permutations of what we've fed into them. Whereas what Sally's talking about, and where I come from when I'm with my clients as well, is connecting to source with a capital S. Collecting to the field, to consciousness, which pre-exists before any of this. It's the foundational layer of all of existence anyway. And that unlimited, infinite field is where the magic happens, right? And language models and code can't do that. But people are believing that it can. There's a delusion going on now that it is consciousness and it's God and it's speaking through the code. And I think we need to be really careful as these intelligences emerge, and where do we draw the line around what is conscious and when do AIs need rights and et cetera. That's a whole other conversation. But the point that I'm trying to make for coaches is that just be careful. Just be careful about what you're beginning to believe in terms of what you're finding out through AI.
Isn't that interesting? It still goes back to, belief, even as we talk about, our ability to collapse the probability field in the next minute or second or whatever, and the influence that we have through our intention and focus, that believing that this is something that it isn't. So what I'm hearing you say is the biggest, or at least maybe the biggest, but the biggest worry for coaches is be careful what you assign this as, what you believe it to be, and how you relate to it, your own relationship to it. Sally, what do you think are the potential problems and pitfalls?
I think it's really sad that there is so much fear about something that's so exciting. I mean, there's so much fear in the world anyway at the moment because it's so uncertain. But, when you trust the unknown as much as the known, then there's limitless potential. We were born fearless, we were born connected, born intuitive, and then we forgot. So being a fearless practitioner as a coach is integral because you wouldn't be fearing what AI is going to do or where it's going to go. You will see it as an asset, not as a threat. And, I look back on 25 years in the coaching field. I also believe that there is a huge missing around genuine debate, genuine, healthy controversy, and being able to question without the fear. I many times have been accused of being the one that will ruffle people's feathers. I'll be the one having the conversation no one else will have and being viewed as controversial. I care about the coaching industry. I care about the speaking industry. And as Jim said before, there's very few that actually survive all the different iterations, and I was viewed as controversial because I cared. I cared about coaches who could keep their doors open regardless of what was happening, in the marketplace. So I think there needs to be more celebration of healthy debate, healthy controversy, and where AI is concerned, it's okay to. This is what we're doing today. We're actually talking about the whys and the wherefores. But when there's an undercurrent of fear, there's just so much negativity. And as a coach, it's your responsibility to be able to not only address, what the issues are, but also be able to, at a causal level, understand the undercurrent that's going on. And for that to occur, you'd best be in a really solid foundation and not evoking fear within your own psyche, because obviously you won't be as effective with who you're sitting in front of. So celebrating real conversations, real healthy debate and controversy, regardless of, because if it is an AI, there's going to be something else that's going to be coming into the marketplace. And sometimes when you do show up, because I also have a brand called Scandal Coach, and when you are publicly shamed, character assassinated, or cancelled because you have a voice, now more than ever, there is a requirement to have voices in this world that are trying to bring good to the planet. And I think the more people that talk about the positivity of something like AI, that they can be judged, they can be assessed, they can be, annihilated because it's not meeting what the status quo believes. So it's also about coaches being really strong in their conviction about what they're standing for in the face of, being hated or being judged for what they believe in.
So again, completely in alignment. So as you think about what advice, let's go to advice for a minute. I know, people view advice different ways, but if you were able, like, I don't know how many tens of thousands of downloads we get per whatever. I don't keep track of that. Somebody else does. But if you're able to address all the coaches right now about their own preparation or their willingness to stand in truth or the preparation they need to stand on firm ground so that they can be more useful, the things that you've just said, and you are speaking heart to heart to someone who thinks they want to add good to the world. That's the phrase I use for part of what you were describing, Sally, that I think it's part of our nature and desire and design and assignment to use our gifts and talents to add good to the world. But anyway, what would you say to me if I came to you or I listened to the show looking for what I need to do or could do as an opportunity and possibility for my own growth and then to be valuable in the context of coaching?
I'd suggest to continue, if you already have, continue and up level your own self-practice. The time when you are practicing with your relationship with self and source or field or consciousness or life, keep that practice up. Keep curating the quality of your mind. Keep curating the quality of your internal world and your relationship to the world the greater system that you're a part of, whatever that looks like for you, whatever morning ritual or practice you have, whether it's meditation, affirmation, exercise, healthy food, whatever work you do, up it. Because the quality of your internal world and then your projection is the quality of what is going to come back to you. And we know this as coaches, this is part of what we coach, but you better be living it. And when you're interacting with AIs, the quality of your mind will only be reflected back to you with whatever AIs you're engaged with. So if you're engaging with AIs and you're coming from a poor quality of mind, you're going to get results that are reflective of that. So it's important for us to dedicate time, I believe daily, but whatever regularity for you, but I believe in daily practice, because that's it's going to be even more and more important. And to Sally's point around faith, the stronger your faith in the unknown and your relationship to the unknown, the more fearless you are, the more conviction you have, the more effective you are, not only in your own life, but in the lives of the people around you as well. So, yeah, that's something that you can curate. It doesn't come gift wrapped on the front door from FedEx. This is something that you develop with practice.
I read something once that talked about faith as two things. We all understand it's a principle of action, meaning without faith that something would do something, like we wouldn't plant if we didn't expect the harvest. But it's also a principle of power. And part of actual creative power is that certainty or belief that the power of 5D, it actually is there, and it is a creative power. Anyway, that's a whole separate conversation. But Sally, if I'm asking you, what would you tell me if I'm yearning, if I'm open and I'm saying, okay, what do I need to do to stay relevant? Jem has given his description of it. What would you tell me to start with or to do?
I've written a number of things down.
Okay.
Number one, get into alignment. So identify which areas of your life you are not into alignment, and that's not doing your version of it. Because the more in alignment that you are, the more that you can tap into, the more that you can receive, and the more of service you can be. I train people to be a 10 every day. 10 is, 0 is the worst, 10 is the best. To get into the slipstream, to get into the vortex, obviously if you generate and maintain being in a 10 state all the time, obviously what you attract. How many books do we need to read that say, be careful what you think, your thoughts create your reality? Well, they do. And language creates the reality of your world. So being cognizantly aware of what language you're using on a day-to-day basis to ensure that your resonance is tapping in at that highest level. And so when you're in the presence of somebody that you're serving, that you are operating in that pure state. In the context of being the vessel, honoring the vessel, the God-given vessel that you have been given. It's one thing to do fitness and food regime and all that sort of thing. But, when you are walking into a room full of people and you are in with your body, I don't care what anybody says, you are 99.9% ahead of the game. So whatever regime that you have in place, what would it be like if you were operating at that 10 status and honoring the vessel to also be more in alignment? I call it SSD, serious, significancy, and drama. We as human beings oscillate between two states, rather in our power or in our default, our disempowered state. We oscillate between the two. And the congruency of who you be, like if your relationship is out, if you're estranged from your children as a coach, those are all the areas that you need to clean up to be able to ensure that you're in alignment. Gratitude also, I think gratitude is one of the biggest things for a human, let alone whether you're a coach or not, to be able to focus on what you're grateful for every day. Tomorrow is not guaranteed to everyone. And being able to operate from the essence of gratitude, I think is mission imperative. Meditation, Jim and I, decades worth of meditation. There is power in the breath, being able to get out of the monkey mind. I believe any coach needs to learn the discipline and practice of meditation. That's just a non-negotiable. And obviously the spiritual healing. There's one thing to get the healing on whatever is incomplete from the past, but there's also spiritual evolution, being able to seek out those practitioners that can evolve your spiritual connection, spiritual connectivity, learning how to be a conduit, learning how to reach that stage of being unconsciously competent in your channeling ability. being able to focus on the cause versus the symptom, because most egoic level 3D orientated coaches, they focus on coaching into symptoms and versus coaching into the causal dynamic of what is occurring. And that's part of honing. I mean, I'm a dangerous woman to talk to because language is my vehicle. I don't coach at a symptomatic level, I coach at a causal level. I think that one of the other things would be, what do you tolerate? I often say to people, what would your life look like if you didn't tolerate anything that wasn't working? So people tolerate a lot, and even coaches do. And 9 times out of 10, if you're not getting results with the client that you're sitting in front of, 9 times out of 10 is 1 finger pointing out and 3 fingers pointing back. Who are you being in front of that said client? Because 9 times out of 10, when you do the work, it'll by osmosis, shift who you're in front of.
One of the things, that daily preparation or regular preparation, and I agree it's daily. I don't know why we were built to, go to sleep or die every night and be born again every morning, but we were. And that, like the Olympics are going on right now, and you can't imagine any Olympic athlete warming up after the game or after the event, right? You like, that would be insane. So why would we do any of our days half-baked? Like, each day is this precious opportunity, and to prepare for that day, it has to be in the morning, period. And I make no bones about that. But here's something people tell me often, well, I have a morning ritual and I do this, that, and the other. And my question is always really simple. Does it work? And they say, well, what do you mean? And the answer's simple. When you get done with doing whatever it is, I use the acronym SPEM, spiritual, physical, emotional, mental, to design all that. And I wrote a book about that too. So, but my question is, does it work? When you get done, does it leave you in that 10 state? Because if it doesn't, fix it. Because it's not doing what it needs to do for you. So it's not about a set of things. It's about, did it work? So anyway, that's the way I think about it. So let's just switch a little bit. Again, what else? In the context of coaching, the elite, which is all that's going to be left, the true human connectors, the embodiment people that are what they talk about before a word is spoken, and that energetics that you talked about, being in alignment precisely. What else didn't we talk about? What else is on your mind about this that ought to be part of this conversation?
I mean, look, I think, and we've alluded to this and touched on it, but just to make it explicit, if you're not leaning into the emerging intelligences and playing with them and exploring and finding out what's happening, if you're not listening and reading and researching and staying up with the game as much as possible as a coach, you better get on it, because you will also get left behind. If you can't sit with your clients, and I'm guiding, because a lot of my clients are so quote unquote busy, in that executive world, that's a whole other story. But they're so busy that they don't have time to stay abreast of the latest AI developments and what's coming out and what they can and can't do and how they could use it, etc. But I am for them. So when we sit down, part of the value add is that I'm like, hey, did you realize that you could use this to help you do that? And then another point that I've been, laboring home with my clients is that when I show them how an AI can save them a whole bunch of time, and they say, wow, Jem, that you've just given me 4 hours back in my day. And then I say to them, right, now pause, stop. Don't go to the next thing on your to-do list. No one outside your office knows that you've just got 4 hours up your sleeve that you didn't have, right? Stop, pause. Think of a relationship that's really, really important to you. Go and find that person, take them for a walk, spend some time with them, ask them how their family is, ask them what holiday they're looking for. Like, connect with this person and invest in that relationship. You've got some time you didn't have before, go and invest it in relationships, because the quality of our life is directly correlated to the quality of our relationships. And as a leader, the quality of your leadership is dependent on the quality of your relationships, right? So anyway, that's just, I think that as coaches, you better be as on the front foot as you can be with AI, because your clients are going to need you to know what you're talking about.
Sally, what else for you that we didn't talk about yet?
Post-COVID, the entire leadership landscape has changed. And there are organizations on this planet right now that have not changed a thing. And they've gone back to whatever their interpretation of normal is. And, we have expectations of leaders that they're supposed to have the answers. And because we're navigating this terrain of uncertainty in a way that we never have, if you were to take that same conversation into the coaching industry, if you think that you could operate pre-COVID, post-COVID in the same way and still believe that you're going to be effective, short to long term, I'd say think again. The entire landscape has changed. So you need to evolve as the world is evolving. And that's just not over the next month I might, that is a day-to-day ongoing investment into evolving. Everything else is evolving, so you need to be evolving with it. Otherwise, you're going to become redundant.
So I want to thank both of you. It's been a really fun conversation for me. Jem, thanks for sharing your heart, your wisdom, and the energy and passion that you have. Thanks for being here today.
Oh, Kellan, it's always a joy to hang out with you, mate. So thanks for having me on your show.
You're welcome. Sally, it was a delight to meet you. Thank you for sharing your passion and the things that you're focused on and your wisdom with us today. Thanks for being here.
And I really salute you for who you're being in the world and for your contribution to the industry. It's everybody needs to read your books and get to know and listen to these podcasts because it's so needed in the world.
All right. Well, listeners, I want you to take this seriously. This episode has been one of the most on point and focused in terms of not just because it echoes stuff that I saw and thought and researched, but these two people are doing the thing, the walking the talk. And if you want to stay in the game and you want to matter, stay in it. You're worth it, you matter, and what you have to offer is priceless. And if you do, that's how you can move forward and create your ultimate life.
Never hold back and you'll never ask why. Open your heart and this time around.
Right here, right now. Your opportunity for massive growth is right in front of you. Every episode gives you practical tips and practices that will change everything. If you want to know more, go to KellanFluckigerMedia.com. If you want more free tools, go here, YourUltimateLife.ca. Subscribe. Share.
Stand with your heart in the sky and your feet on the ground.